Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I know it's Monday, and normally I publish these on Saturday and Wednesday, but I've got a bit of a backstory. First of all, welcome to all of the new subscribers. It's so pleased to have you here, and thank you so much to everybody who's already subscribing and downloading and listening. I love knowing that you're out there because it's my highest intention, of course, to make sure that all of these episodes land for you and give you some inspiration, some motivation, and also transformational, not only for you as women, but for your private practices as well. So before I get started, I have a quick shout out to two very special women. They know who they are. Kim from Rest Easy Sleep Consulting. So she's got a website, resteasysleepconsulting.ca. Is just an amazing woman, and she has been so supportive of this podcast, let me tell you, and I really appreciate it so much. She works with parents who have little ones and of course need some support with sleep, so you should definitely head over to her website. She's got some great free and paid things on there. And the other lady that I want to give a very special thank you to is Morgan. Morgan is in the early stages of mapping out and planning her most soul-aligned private practice. And oh my gosh, she has got some really beautiful things coming your way, and I'll be more than happy to share them with you as soon as they're up and running. But she's just a magical woman. She loves working with women and nature and things like that. So stay tuned because I can't wait to share their stories with you. Okay, so today I want to talk with you a little bit about retaining clients because this has come up in one of the groups that I run, and I love helping. So this group has people in it that are new to private practice as well as people who've been in it for a little while. And one of the things that has been popping up over the last few days was this idea of, how do I retain clients and what does that look like and what does that mean? And, I'm kind of struggling with this. So I thought, in the spirit of giving you a helpful episode today, I would cover this because we haven't really spoken about it before, have we? So I guess let's just get right down to it. There are going to be some reasons why your clients aren't retained, okay? Now, thinking about the energy that your clients come to you with, whether it's online or whether it's in person, would you say it's fair to say that unless you're kind of working in that wellness and prevention space, that you're probably dealing with people who are coming to you because there's something that they want to shift, or there's something that they want to change, there's something they're not happy about, might be mental health, something like that. And what happens is when we enroll those people or sign them up, start working with them, they're often in that space of the wounded feminine. Now, regardless of how you identify, as gender, we all have this energy, okay? So some people call it yin and yang. I just refer to it as masculine and feminine because that's how I learned it when I was studying. So we all have this masculine and feminine energy, and we have healthy or sacred or divine masculine and feminine energy. So that's when the energies are right where we want them to be for our practice and for our life, of course. And then we have the flip side of that. There's always light and shadow, isn't there? And so the shadow side is sort of that shadow feminine or the shadow masculine, or the unhealthy feminine or the unhealthy masculine. And so when I'm suggesting that for many of us, many of our clients will initially attend or initially reach out because they're in that wounded feminine space, what that looks like is they're needing to feel safe. They're fearful. They're probably spent. They're probably often people who have been giving and giving and giving and giving and giving to family and loved ones and things like that, yet bottling things up for themselves because they don't want to burden people. You know what I mean? So they're coming to us in that kind of energy much of the time. Not all of the time. I know I'm generalizing. So what are they really needing from you? They're really needing from you for you to be embodying a beautiful harmony of the healthy masculine or the sacred or divine masculine and the sacred or divine feminine. And what does that really look like? Okay, so this is the lens that I'm going to use to guide you through retention and your private practice. All right. So first off, there are some reasons that clients don't rebook. Okay, so retention is, how well are you able to maintain clients once they start working with you? Okay, now that's going to be different for everybody. Some of us have programs that are finite, they only go for a certain period of time. Whereas if you're in counseling and, sessions happen on a case by case basis, there's no formal set, we're going to have 10 sessions or anything. So it can be a little bit different for everybody. But retention is how well do you keep those clients coming back so that you can continue to support them. When we have, low retention, that's when you start to look at your numbers and you think, people are only coming once or twice and then they're moving on. So what I want to do is just go through some of the reasons why those clients might be falling through the cracks for you, why they might not be coming back. So I guess the first thing that I hear a lot is, women in private practice will say, oh, yes, well, I saw them for 3 sessions and then they were fixed. And, I think you've really got to, as a therapist, whether you're a psychologist, a social worker, a counselor, a coach, I think you really have to question whether somebody's, in inverted commas, fixed in 3 hours of work with you. I mean, it's possible that they may be, but if you're starting to see a pattern of you moving people on very early into therapy because you think that they might be well, it's possible that this isn't the case, that they're not really well, and it's possible that perhaps you're moving them on because of something that's going on within you. And sometimes that can be maybe you're feeling a little bit out of your depth with this client. And so in some way, energetically, it feels good to wrap things up. It can happen, all right? It can happen. I know this. I'm a supervisor. I've heard that this can happen, and it's okay. It's not bad if it does. But it's something definitely to take to supervision so that you can get some support around it. I think it's also something you could probably take to mentoring or coaching, because it could be showing us that there's something within you that you're projecting into the therapy session, or vice versa. There could even be some counter-transference happening there. So that's one. The second reason is that your clients are coming to you because they don't know what to do. They're at their wits' end, perhaps coming and getting some help was a last resort. Perhaps I've tried all different things. We've all worked with clients who've said that they've tried all sorts of different things and now they're finally, with us. So it could be that they're just feeling a little bit lost, and they're looking to you to guide them as to next steps. So when you first see your client, it's very important that you frame for them the expectations that you both have for what it's going to be like for you to work together. And when it comes to the end of the session, I'm aware that there are some people who leave it in the hands of the client to go away and think about it and, ring up and book their next session or email and request a session. I feel like you might want to rethink that, because what happens is, if I come and see you as a client, all right, and I've left it to the last minute and my anxiety is sort of peaking and I'm through the roof, and I come and I have this session with you and get things off my chest, and you give me some tools, perhaps, whatever it is, or you hold that space for me, and it gets to the end of the session, if you said to me, okay, well, it was lovely to see you today, just ring up and book your next session when you're ready to come in, I'd go away feeling a bit dazed and confused and thinking, am I meant to go back? Am I not meant to go back? Do I only go back if it gets worse or if it comes back? Like, it's just confusing to somebody, because when people are already feeling stress or anxiety or depression or things like that, already they're having trouble making decisions, remembering things, planning. Some of them can't even remember how they drove to your rooms for the consults, just like they're on autopilot. And probably you and I have felt like that too. We've been on autopilot driving down to our rooms. So I think, if you're noticing that you're having a high rate of attendance for an initial appointment, but they're not rebooking and you're not leading that conversation, that's why. So they're needing you they're coming in their wounded feminine, they're needing you to provide that safe space and to provide the logical next step, right? Get into your healthy masculine. You have to give them that logical next step. So, think about what you want that next step to be and give them that, okay? So you're in control. They're looking to you to tell them, okay, this is the next step. This is what I want you to do next, and write it down. Get them to put things in their phone or on their device, because, memory can be problematic, especially like meeting somebody new for the first time. So really think about how you can guide people to what you want them to do next, okay? The second one is maybe, let's just imagine that they did get better after 2 or 3 sessions, and now they've stopped coming, right? They feel like they don't need the service anymore. They've stopped coming. And you're like, okay. Well, if you have found that there's the retention has dropped off here, it's probably because, again, we're out of that masculine energy and you don't have something in place to support your clients once they've finished. So really think about putting something in place like an aftercare plan that's going to help your client stay connected to the practice, stay connected to you, and feel like it's safe and it's okay and they're welcome to come back when they're ready if they need your help. The next thing is that perhaps you had some policies and procedures in place around retention, but you didn't invoke them. You didn't apply them. You didn't utilize them because on some level, they just weren't resonating with you. This is an issue of alignment. And, I see this happen quite a bit in, practices, not only in Australia, but in Canada and America and the UK as well, with women that I work with. Sometimes they've purchased policies or they've been, provided with policies and things like that, but they don't use them because it doesn't feel right. So when things don't feel right, that's like your inner guidance system telling you, hey, this isn't for you. And so rather than just sitting there with that discomfort and not using your policy or not using your procedure, that's a clue for you to sit down, pull out the policy and procedure, really look at it and tweak it, craft it, shift it, change it to be something that's more aligned. And do you know what? It's probably something like the biggest cause of misalignment is when there's a mismatch of values. So it might be that the way somebody's written these policies and procedures that you've obtained is out of alignment with your values. And that's okay. Don't just leave it there. Take them and say, okay, if this was going to embody my practice values, what would this process or procedure or policy look like, and give it a bit of a tweak, and then you'll find it's much easier to start using those. Some people don't do follow-up because they feel so uncomfortable about it. That's another example there of something being out of alignment. There's perhaps a story that you're telling yourself around what it means to follow up with people. Maybe you're worried, oh, what if she doesn't want to rebook, and that will mean that she doesn't like me and that I didn't help her and I wasn't effective. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can have all of this inner monologue that kind of happens. Again, it's because something's out of alignment. So if that's what's happening for you, you jump in the group and share, because I can absolutely try and give you some high touch coaching in the group through that if it would be helpful for you, or bring it to our next supervision session or mentoring session. Okay. Another reason why you might have a higher attrition rate or a lower retention rate than you'd really, really like is because the client just isn't seeing the value in the service that you're providing. And sometimes we see this when we think maybe everything's going swimmingly, like we've got a great relationship with our clients, we enjoy seeing them, they enjoy seeing us, and then we get feedback from a third party, like perhaps an NDIS support coordinator or a doctor, that says, well, the client just kind of feels like you're just having a chat. And it's like the client, although the relationship's good, the client isn't seeing the value. And so when that happens, or when you become aware that maybe this is what could be happening in your practice, that's again a sign for you to maybe look at the way that you're working and implement or incorporate a process that's going to support the client in objectively seeing their progress session to session, or every few sessions to session. Okay, so you don't have to use, you can still use this regardless of what approach you use. If you want to use person-centered, solution-focused, CBT, psychodynamic, it doesn't matter. You can always find a way of supporting that client to check in and see their progress. When they see the progress and the transformations, and they see that objectively, they're going to see the value in what you're doing, and you will have overcome that hurdle for attrition and retention. And don't you love it so much? This is powerful stuff, right? Before I did our podcast, before I recorded our podcast this morning, I'm doing this thing at the moment called 365 Days of Tarot. It's so much fun. I got it off, so I bought an iPad a little while ago, and I've just found, GoodNotes. And for those of you who don't know, GoodNotes is a note-taking app, and I just love it so much. And anyway, so I've been exploring everything on GoodNotes, of course, and I found this program called 365 Days of Tarot. I think it was like $10 or $20 or something. And anyway, what you do is every morning you fill out a page in the book. So yeah, it's this book in the 365 Days of Tarot, and it gets you to write down like the day, the date, your question, the mood that you're in, and then you shuffle your cards, you see what comes out. You take a photo of the card with the iPad, and it automatically uploads it to GoodNotes for you, to the page that you're working on, and then you can write your meaning. And so today I wrote as my question, what my clients really need from me in order to feel supported and helped today. And what came out was the King of Swords, which obviously is a masculine card, not because he's a king, but because swords represents the masculine energy. And the meaning of the King of Swords is like professional, expert in their field, advisor, authority, innovation, determined and alert. And so then I kind of was thinking, how's this going to relate to how I show up for everybody today? And so then I just noticed, like, I'd had a couple of private messages about retention, and I thought, well, that's a sign from the universe. I can show up as somebody that can be really, really helpful and an expert in my field by giving you some tips on this. And I don't know why I'm telling you this. This is just, I'm just looking at the King of Swords now, and I'm just feeling like this is so much fun. Like, can you believe that we get to use tarot cards and we get to talk about masculine and feminine energy while we're talking about private practice stuff that's like super serious? It's so much fun. We are so lucky. Okay, so what else did I want to tell you today? Oh, yeah, of course, attrition happens. Attrition happens. It's a natural part of business. And you know what? I know as women, you see the business as an extension of yourself, especially when you're making it soul aligned. But here's the thing, when somebody stops seeing you and you don't know why, it can be really, really hard for you as a woman in private practice and as a practitioner to sort of wrap your head around and to process and to understand and all of those sorts of things. But it happens, and I would love to say don't take it personally, but I think because you're so invested in the practice, you probably do, in which case I would recommend that you do an energetic practice that's going to support you in closing that energetic loop between you and the client that's gone AWOL. All right. So look for some kind of energetic practice that will help you or support you in closing that loop between that client and you, but in a way that embodies gratitude, that embodies kindness, that embodies love, and that embodies an invitation for that person to connect with you in future if they need to. Okay. And yeah, something like that could be so powerful. And if you want any support creating learning how to create an energetic loop so that you can close that off, let me know and I'll be happy to help you. And then the other thing is, of course, we just want to be super aligned with our client, and that just means sort of taking the pressure off ourselves, getting out of our own heads when we're in the therapy room, when we're in the therapy session, and just being totally present and holding that space. And you know what? If you're just learning and you're brand new to private practice, or you're brand new to therapy or psychology or social work, and you've finished your course and you're out there on your own in the world, I know what it's like because it happened for me too. Like, I was spending so much time printing off intake forms and printing off structured clinical interviews and all of this sort of stuff. And I was wanting to be so good and so helpful and so valuable that I was obsessing about all of these things, and I was forgetting to focus on the relationship. I was more focused on my outcomes. I was more focused on making sure people were getting better, and I was less focused on relationships. And as a result of that, I had a much higher volume of clients because I was focused on supporting people through those Medicare 10 sessions. It used to be 10 sessions, 6 and then 4. And then, they would disappear because it was bulk billing. And so then I would get a new batch of clients through. But since that was the early days for me, where I remember I'm a bit long in the tooth now when it comes to private practice. So if you're new, it's very, very understandable, natural, and okay for you to be leaning on those sorts of things, because you want to feel like you know what you're doing and you know where you're going. But trust in the process and trust in your ability to build rapport with the client, because a lot of the time the clients will really, really, really need to connect with you as a woman first before we start giving them worksheets and meditations and things like that. Remember, women who are in their wounded feminine don't feel seen and they don't feel heard. So if you notice that there's attrition with, women clients who might be in that space, think about what you could do differently to help those women feel seen and heard, and put yourself in their shoes. Would you feel seen and heard if your therapist was sitting there asking you questions from the DAS 21? Probably not. You feel like, she's got her own agenda and she's not really listening to you. Or if she spends the first 10 minutes of the first session going over, how she works and how she operates, and the poor client sitting there thinking, well, I've just lost 10 minutes of my 50-minute session now. Like, really think about what you could be doing differently to help your client feel held, to feel supported, to feel seen, and to feel heard. Okay, so they are 6 tips on how to improve retention for your soul-led private practice. And as I said, if you need any help, just reach out. I'll put some contact details in the show notes for you. I hope that this helped. I'd love your feedback. If you enjoyed the episode, please go and give it a like or a comment. I'll be so grateful, and have a beautiful, beautiful day, everybody. And thank you so much for waiting a couple of days. Yeah, so the reason this one was was late was because I was moving on the weekend. Okay, guys, have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.